Welcome to Canadian Scale Modeling. My name is Kevin. Please bear with me as I read this, as I'm new to this. And I am a Canadian, and I'm going to be doing scale modeling on this channel. For those of you who don't know what scale modeling is, you're simply building life-size objects, but at a smaller scale. Now I'm going to be starting with 1/72 because that's probably the easiest one for airplanes and that sort of thing. Now, the first group of videos that I'll be doing is called A Beginner's Guide to Scale Modeling. But that is because I'm the beginner. Mistakes will be made, but I won't edit them out because I believe that it is a journey. Most of what I've learned about modeling is from watching other YouTube videos, mostly done by experts. Now, the work they do, although it's impressive, it's also intimidating. That's because they set the bar fairly high. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to set the bar as high as they do, and we'll just try to enjoy the process. And since I am Canadian, I plan on doing down the road models such as the HMCS Huron and HMCS Snowberry, as well as the Leopard Tank and the RCAF Buffalo. If you're a beginner like me, click the subscribe button down below, and let's become better together. The first thing you're going to need when you're making your models is a place to make them. The first thing that I have here is called the Humbrol workstation. Station is a incorrect term because this thing is anything but stationary. You can pick it up and move it all around the house and work on your models wherever you want to work on them. Now, of course, you're going to need a cutting mat. This is the one I have. This one's a little warped. It's been used a bit. And it sits real nicely right in the center of that. You can use whatever one you want. I have a second one here as well. It's been used quite a bit. So we'll just get rid of that one for now. Now, because you have a cutting mat, obviously you're going to be using a knife. They come in many shapes and sizes. I have 2 or 3 of them here. And you're using the cutting knife because you don't want to scratch up your good furniture, so you do all the cutting on here. Now, the cutting knife is primarily used for removing your pieces of the model from the sprue and also removing any flashing. Flashing is what happens if you ever made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You press down on it and some of the jelly or peanut butter squirts out. Well, that's what happens sometimes when they're making the molds. They inject the plastic, they put the 2 plates together, and some of the plastic squirts out the side. It hardens, and that becomes flashing. Now, one of the other things you might want to be using, and I highly recommend getting one, is a set of tweezers. Now, the tweezers should have a flat area on the back for when they're cutting, so that you can get closer into the sprue to cut. Also, to smooth out those rough edges, get yourself a filing stick. You don't have to get one as fancy as that. You can use that, or you can use files themselves. They do the trick just as well. And at some point, you're going to be needing tweezers. Tweezers, of course, are used to hold on to those smaller parts, especially when you're cutting really small parts off the sprue. You can hold on to them with the tweezers and then do the cutting with either your knife or your scissors. And then further on down the road, you're going to need things like glue, and glue, of course, will hold everything together. This is a tester's glue. And then if you buy some starter kits like I'll be doing, you get this poly cement stuff, which comes with it. I don't highly recommend it because it does make a bit of a mess. And down the road, because model kits are imperfect, you will have to use some putty. And that's just for filling in the cracks and crevices that are there. And then you, of course, would sand them down using this aforementioned sanding stick. Also, you're going to need at some time some paint brushes just for applying the paint, and also you want to have a dedicated one for applying something called Microset and Microsol. This is for making decals. And of course, at some point you'll need paint. Now, the nice thing about the workstation is it has little holes to hold the paint, like so. Now, those are all the basic tools that I'll be using to make my model kits. If you like this particular video, hit the like button, and if you like to subscribe to receive more videos from me, just hit the subscribe button.